Hello. This reading is for Mercury Retrograde in Scorpio that we actually entered in today. And so I wanted to just pull the energy of what we can expect to happen during this time. Mercury Retrograde is just a time of review for most of us, a time to kind of take a look back at the decisions that we've made and just really reassess them. I always say that it has everything to do with all the re's, that it's time to reassess, reinvent, reconsider, rewind if you need to. I did go ahead and pull oracles to get the energy of the reading before we began. I just do that because it would take a long time for the reading. It would be a very long reading if I did it all while I recorded. Before we get into the reading, I just want to give you a little bit, there's a description box below that will tell a little bit more about, that will talk a little bit more about how to understand a reading if you're new to listening to tarot readings. I don't read gender, I read energy. So kings, queens, knights can all be either men or women. It just depends on the energy that you're harnessing. If you're a woman that's in more of your masculine energy, you may show up as a king. Generally, men and women show up as kings if they're men, queens if they're women. Knights can go either way, but don't be surprised if, as you're listening to the story, you're like, that's a king, but it sounds like me if you're a woman. It probably is. It probably is. You're probably just in your more masculine energy, and that's fine. So, also, I will read this as a love reading, just because that's the easiest way for me to read it, but understand that this doesn't necessarily have to apply to love. This can definitely apply to friendships, relationships with family members, coworkers, your neighbor, your boss. It can apply to the way that you're feeling about your career or some situation that you're in. So however it resonates for you, it doesn't always have to be about love, although that's the most fun way to read, isn't it? So some of the energy that I picked up just looking at this is actually quite beautiful. There's definitely an air sign involved in this for many of you, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Even if you don't know or you don't believe, you're like, no, I don't have any of those. If you're not familiar with that person's natal sign, it might be their moon sign that they have, because a lot of times I read for people's natal moon signs. But there's definitely an air energy here. It's had the devil come out in reverse, so that's good. Letting go of attachments, things that are toxic for us. There's also an energy here of new hope for true commitment. It looks like a lot of you have been doing a lot of your shadow work, really addressing a lot of your emotional issues, coming to terms with them, acknowledging them, allowing them to surface, processing them, and letting them go. During this time, you may have been kind of isolated, especially, during COVID. A lot of us have been very isolated. So this might have been a time that you've spent a lot of time alone. And even if you haven't been alone, if you've been with your family or whatever it is, you still spent a lot of time thinking. And I think during this time also a lot of healing, not just emotionally, but even just your body too, resting your body, getting exercise, trying to eat more nutritious food, drinking the water that you need, just taking care of your physical vessel. And during this time, a lot of us have really learned the importance of patience and the blessings that can bring. There's victory in it. There's success when you are able to be more patient. There's definitely Gemini energy here, for sure. And it looks like someone is on the path to working with people, helping people, some sort of pathway that coming in contact with large groups of people. I mean, large is relevant, but 10 could be a large group, or 1,000 could be a large group. But working with groups of people in some capacity and helping to bring them to the light. Yeah. So for the second half of October, and for this reading, I'm using the Halloween Oracle because why not? And so the energy I got for this Mercury in retrograde is skeleton, which is strength, and then the apple, which is risk and reward. And it came very clearly to me about this, that I think that there's been a lot of people, including myself, that have been very unwilling to put themselves out there, to take another risk when maybe they've been hurt in the past. Maybe things haven't worked out, and they haven't worked out so many times that you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna not put myself out there anymore. And I think what this message is it's time. It's time to be brave. It's time to put ourselves out there. Yeah, it's time. You've done the work, and it's time to do that. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the reading. And what we're asking about, pardon me, is the energies that we, energies to be aware of during Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. Scorpio. Scorpio is my favorite energy. I dig it. Sexy little turd. All right. I hadn't spoken it out loud yet, but I was asking myself, what is everybody's mood? What is the mood of the collective that is being reached by this message? And out popped the Emperor. So this is a fire sign. This could be you or somebody that you're dealing with. It's Aries and Scorpio. So you guys might just be really embracing the energy of the retrograde. Scorpio season begins on the 22nd, 23rd. So just feeling good about the season that we're in, feeling good about this time. The Emperor is the boss. He's the daddy. He's the one that makes sure everything's okay. He's got it. He's got everything covered. You know, he has staff. He has people that can help. But at the end of the day, he takes responsibility for what's going on around him, and he knows that the buck stops with him. And he's very confident, very able to do that. So this is a great energy for everybody to be in going into the season. I mean, so far I'm just loving every part of this. Usually people stress and worry about Mercury retrograde, and so far I'm like, no, I'm here for it. Let's do this. What is the environment that we'll be experiencing, that most of us will be experiencing? What will our environment be like during this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, please? Tell me about the environment we'll be experiencing, please. What will our environment be like? Yay! Three of Swords in reverse. This is healing. This is when Three of Swords is upright. It's heartbreak, it's pain, it's hurt. When it's in reverse, this is healing. This is getting over heartbreak. This is feeling better about things. I'm so loving this. All right. Tell me what the situation is that we should be aware of. What's the situation to be aware of? Aquarius energy, Cancer energy. What's the situation for us to be aware of during Mercury retrograde in Scorpio? You know, when I look at the skeleton strength and the apple that's telling us that it's time to take a risk again so that we can enjoy the reward, you know, I think that's a message that resonates with a lot of us. And then we go down to how we're feeling, like we're ready for it. You know, we're recovering from whatever it is that's broken our hearts. I mean, just everything here is saying we're ready for this new beginning, this new commitment, this new trust. That we're brave enough to trust again. You know, when we think about not trusting, and we think about, if you think about being afraid to trust, letting that be something that you don't want to do because you've been hurt before, we have to remember that we are the creators of our destiny. Our minds are so powerful. I mean, they're so powerful. I mean, what you think, you create. So many times people, you know, something bad happens, they'll say, I just knew that was going to happen. Well, of course you did, because you thought it into existence. If that's your fear and that's what you focused on, and that's where your mind was always at, as children of God, we're manifestors. We bring to life what we think of. So if that's what you're doing, if you're thinking, I can't trust, I can't trust, I can't trust, what you're going to do is you're going to bring situations into your life that you shouldn't have trusted because you think you can't trust. But when we change that mindset and start to see, you know what, I can. Just because things happened that way before, it doesn't mean that they're going to happen that way again. You know, and start telling yourself there definitely are people to trust. Think about the people in your life that you can absolutely trust. You know, they exist, they're out there. I mean, it's almost like everything's been so good so far that y'all don't want to hear what the situation is. So everybody, deep breath. What is the situation to be aware of during Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, please? All right, let's see. First is talking about what we're leaving behind. Well, let me first start with this. This is a manifestation energy. We have the Three of Wands. So this is thinking of something new, wanting something new. And then we have what seems like something sad initially, but it's not. We have the Lovers in reverse, Knight of Pentacles in reverse, the Star in reverse, and Five of Swords in reverse. So Lovers is Gemini energy, Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy, the Star is Aquarius energy. And the Five of Swords is conflict. I'm walking away from conflict, wanting to walk away from that conflict. So for some of you, there's been a love that you've really been trying to manifest. You've stayed single, probably in this Knight of Pentacles energy for a while, which is kind of just doing your own thing, creating yourself. But it's definitely a very single energy. So in reverse here, we have someone that's been single and doesn't want to be anymore. But it's also letting go of the wish for this love. So there's definitely, whether it's somebody you've been with or somebody that you wanted to be with, I feel like there's a letting go of that and ready for something new, because you know, in the energy that we have that preceded, you know, this part of the reading, we have that that new hope. We have that new hope. We have the strength for something new. So I think that what this is walking away from something that we really put a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of focus on, and focusing on manifesting something new. And that's okay. That's totally okay. That's good. That's great. Because I think too that during this time when you're focused on this, when you're very focused on this one particular situation, I think maybe that you closed yourself off to other possibilities. And we can't ever do that. We need to always be open to all the possibilities, you know, that are out there for us. But during that time when you were doing it, I think that probably you learned a lot. You know, there was probably a lot of self-improvement going on, probably a lot of focus on yourself going on. I think there was a lot of learning in this situation. So what is the obstacle, please? Whoops. Oh, wants me to shuffle a little bit more. What is the obstacle, please? Definitely attachment. You know, definitely this is something that's hard to let go of. This is something I think that you put so much into that letting go of it isn't something that you can do easily. I think too there was kind of a standing open offer of love that that isn't there anymore, that isn't being offered any longer, that you're willing to let that go and kind of go into on a unknown path to just open yourself up to a new dream. You know, whether or not you know what that is yet or not, I think that this is just definitely a willingness to be more open to that. And that's beautiful. Nobody needs to stay stuck. You know, if during this time that you've done that, you know, you've been working on yourself and maybe being focused on that one thing was, I don't want you to see it as a waste of time either, because if you have been doing this work, if you have been healing, if you have been, you know, trying to improve yourself and heal yourself, and this one thing kept you focused on that during that time, then it really wasn't a waste of time, was it? I mean, if you're a better person now than you were, you know, before you were so focused on this, how's that a loss? What is the obstacle? What is the obstacle concerning this situation, please? Let's see what that is. It wanted to come around. Ooh! High Priestess. That's Pisces energy, Gemini energy. Oh, and the Queen of Cups. Cancer energy, Scorpio, Pisces again. This is the energy of being in your head way too much. Way too much. The High Priestess doesn't speak. She's very quiet energy. She's very introspective. She's very intuitive. And the Queen of Cups is very emotional. She's very focused also on one thing. She's very focused on what she loves, what she wants. And so these two together are just, it's us staying too in our head about something, rather than just allowing the universe to bring to us whatever's for our highest good. You know, I talk a lot about when we get into this really sort of hyper-focused energy on just one thing, like we want that one thing and that's the only thing that will make us happy, and we have to have that, and if we can't have that, well, then, you know, forget it. We don't, nothing else will do. And I liken it to a cat. And if any of you have ever had, a pet cat, you know that if you try to grab that cat and hold it when it doesn't want to be held, and squeeze the cat and love the cat and hold it too tight, all that cat's going to try to do is scratch and claw and get away from you. So if you've been holding on too tight to this, even if it's been, just energetically, physically, energetically, just trying to hold on too tight to something that's not for you, all it's going to do is scratch and claw and try to get away from you. When we let that cat go and we just, let it go do its thing, let it go wander, when we let the universe decide for us, just tell the universe, hey, I want what's best for me. I know that I always, when I pray, I tell God that I want what He wants for me when He wants it for me. If you let that cat go and you just kind of ignore the cat, like let the cat know, like, hey, I'd really like to pet you and hold you if you want me to, but I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to squeeze you. What happens with that cat? That cat is all up on you, rubbing on you, hugging on you, trying to be in your business. The more you release, the more it wants to come to you. So get out of your head, Fred. What is the energy that we will use to overcome this in our head feeling about things? That there's victory in letting go of this thing that we thought. Understanding that being strong enough to be able to let it go, let it be. Let this thing go. To trust in God to bring us what it is that we want. Trust in God to heal us. That there's victory there. This person that you've been holding on to may be someone a little narcissistic. And not to bang on narcissists, because honestly, narcissists and empaths, some of you may be very familiar with that cycle. And as empaths, a lot of us would be like, oh, poor me, I'm the empath. Really, we're not very different from each other. We're both kind of, people that have emotional traumas that need to be healed. We just go about doing it in very different ways. The narcissist becomes very self-involved, and the empath becomes very involved with pleasing everyone outside of themselves instead of making themselves a priority as well. So I do have sympathy for narcissists, and I hold empaths to a responsibility that perhaps others might not. How are we going to overcome this energy of being in our head, please, Spirit? So, we're going to receive an offer. This is the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is, he's Gemini energy, but he's also Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. And this King of Cups, or Knight of Cups, pardon me, is coming towards you with an offer, but you don't know what it is. It's an unknown offer. This could be very job related too. This could be about, a job that you wanted, a path that you wanted to go down in your career that didn't happen, and then manifesting something different. Being in your head about it a lot. I'm really getting a lot of energy that a lot of people are feeling rejected. That whether this is a relationship or a job situation or something with their family or a friend or whatever it is, that this has really been something where you felt like you were rejected or you weren't good enough or whatever it is, and that's just all negative self-talk. I mean, that's just looking at it from, why didn't I get that thing? Well, what if that thing was terrible for you? What if that person that you wanted, so badly had all these dysfunctions that would have made your life miserable? What if this job would have, never been what you wanted it to be, that you would have ended up, working yourself to death and not being paid what you were worth for that job? we really have to start looking at rejection as protection. That if it's not for us, God won't let us have it. And that instead of thinking, well, I wasn't good enough for it, or I didn't deserve it, or I didn't get it, or somebody else is better than me, or whatever it is. No. Like, not going into that energy, but going into that, well, I don't know what what the situation was. I don't know. It was unknown. I don't know what the situation was, but I know that God's got my back. I know that He's not going to let, He's not going to let me fall into a situation that I shouldn't be in, that's not good for me, that's not for my highest good. And can you imagine if we all started going into that energy instead of the energy of what's wrong with me, why was I rejected, I'm not good enough, and all the negativity that pulls into our life, all the false narratives that we create with that nonsense, and just let it be easy. Just be like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't for me. Next. There's always next. Yeah, there's something new coming towards you. We don't know what it is. It's going to be different for everyone. But let's be nosy and find out a little bit more about it. So we're going to use the Kipper deck. Can you please clarify on the Unknown card and the Knight of Cups about this offer? This is the energy that we're going to embrace. Ooh, the end of a cycle. Coffin. When we see death in the tarot, very rarely does it actually mean death. It can. It has even for me recently in a reading. But usually it's about the end of a cycle. So the acceptance of an end of a cycle. Tell me more about this energy of the unknown. Bottom of the deck, we have courtship. It didn't fall though. I'm going to go ahead and use my pink deck, which this thing is so freaking accurate that it almost scares me sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and use it to clarify. Tell me more about the chaser. This is the end of the cycle as a chaser. You are no longer chasing what isn't meant for you. We're not going to chase what isn't meant for us. We're going to be open to what comes to us. Yes. Oh, beautiful. This is coming to us. We don't know what the universe has for us, but we're going to be receptive to what it has for us, to what it wants to bring to us. And we do that by ending the cycle of chasing what isn't meant for us. Bottom of the deck, we have the dragonfly. Be lighthearted, finding out, things come to light, adapt, change, heal. That's so beautiful. All right. What will the potential outcome be for us when we embrace this energy of letting go? This is really, really beautiful. What's the potential outcome for us when we embrace this energy? Yeah, really letting go of like only one outcome being acceptable. That's just leading us for disappointment, because we're dealing with a world full of people that all have the gift of free agency. And if we're just really so set on just one outcome being the only thing that we can accept, the odds are we're going to set ourselves up for disappointment. And who needs that? You know, why not be open to what the universe has for us? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's smarter than us. 7 of Cups, all the options. All these options coming towards you with this. Let's see what else. Tell me more about the outcome for us. All these options. And look at her. She's happy. She's not a freaking dragon. What's the chick's name from what's that shit? Game of Thrones? Whatever her name is. I mean, things worked out for her. The 7 of Cups is, it can mean a lot of different things, but what I'm picking up just immediately is, it can be imagination. It can be, it's options. It's lots of options. There's lots of paths to happiness. I mean, this chick's happy. I mean, she's got freaking rainbows coming out of her cups, up on her dragon, and like fairies and stars and crap. Like, that's all good, right? Super good. I so dig it. Tell me more about the potential outcome. You don't want to know anymore? That was good enough. I want to know more. I'm nosy. Tell me more about the potential outcome when this energy is embraced. Enlightenment, the Hangman. Being enlightened, understanding, clarity. The Scorpio energy with the 7 of Cups, and Pisces, Taurus energy with the Hangman. All right, let's see. Let's use the pink deck again. Can you tell us more about 7 of Cups and the Hangman? Yeah, this is just you being enlightened to all the options. Like, oh my gosh, like I've been so focused on this one potential outcome, and there's so many potential outcomes. Like, I've kept myself stuck for so long just wanting this one thing and not realizing like there's so many other things out there for me that are just as good, that are better even. Whoa, Joseph. Heart with a key. Welcoming love, meeting the one, opening your heart, getting together. Perfect. You know, Mercury Retrograde is usually a time of confused communication. You know, things can be frustrating sometimes, but this seems like a really, really beautiful time. It seems like a time that you're slowing down and realizing, you know, where you've been, what you've learned, what you don't need to hold on to anymore, what you can release. And, you know, the new moon is in Libra tomorrow, my moon. my moon in Libra. And the new moon in Libra is all about manifesting what you want, you know, asking for what you want, putting it out there, setting that intention for what you want. And this is just beautiful. Listen, being enlightened to all the different options that are out there for you in the world, and not needing to hold on to the expectation of just this one thing that it seems like we've been very, very focused on, this one outcome. But there's lots of different outcomes, that there's so many different pathways that lead to happiness. And I am so in love with this reading. I hope that these next 6 weeks or so, 4 weeks of Mercury retrograde are just really a great time of reflection for everybody, and that you're able to find all of the blessings in it. Thank you.